We are starting this flight at the commercial centre just outside the entrance to the Devil's Tower National Monument. Incidentally, for those who are not aware of the fact, national monuments in the US are small national parks and not, as we would expect in the UK, a nice big statue or something. Ahead of us at the moment is the entrance to the National Monument, with a queue of cars waiting to get in. Unlike my last video of the buttes and mesas in Monument Valley, the Devil's Tower is a single pillar of rock standing in splendid isolation. Dominating the rolling Wyoming landscape, it rises to almost 1,300 feet above the commercial centre and can be seen for 10 miles or more in all directions. Needless to say, it features largely in the myths and legends of the Native American Indians, for whom many is a sacred area, each tribe having its own legend of how it was formed. Most feature a wild bear or bears, but my favourite is that of a group of plain girls fleeing from some bears climbed onto a rock to escape. Finding it too small, however, they prayed to their great spirit, who caused the rock to rise up out of the ground. Frustrated, the bears clawed at the rock as it grew, forming the vertical cracks and fissures we see today. As for the girls, when they reached the sky, they became the stars, forming the Pleiades. Legends such as this have led to the various Indian names for the tower, including Bear's House, Bear's Lodge, Home of the Bear, etc. Accepting this, and the fact that the tower is sacred to many Indian tribes, it has even been proposed to change the name to the Bear Lodge National Historic Landmark. The Devil's Tower featured very prominently in Steven Spielberg's groundbreaking science fiction film of 1977, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and those of you that remember it will have recognised, I'm sure, the sound effects at the beginning. Now to land on the top, something I suspect not encouraged or even permitted in real life. Now we are here, we can have a little walk around and get some idea of the views obtained of the surrounding countryside, something normally reserved for those intrepid climbers who scale its near vertical sides. Something, of course, which makes it a very popular venue for those within the climbing fraternity. It was first climbed in 1893 by two local ranchers who drove wooden pegs into the vertical crevices to form a ladder. This ladder was then used by others over the next 30 years or so before it became finally unusable. And I believe some of the remaining pegs are still visible today. I bet you're wondering what happens if I walk over the edge. Well, let's find out, shall we? Wow, I can hardly walk after sitting for 5 minutes. Now, with a run and a jump, we get to the visitors centre. It is only by walking around that we can get to appreciate the level of detail that the modellers have built into the scenery, with the parked vehicles, realistic looking notice boards and buildings. I find it difficult to see how one would ever know that such detail existed, especially in an area like this, where one would hardly be tempted to land. Now, to get back to the helicopter on the top, and resume our flight, circling the tower on our way back to the commercial centre. Geologically, the tower is considered to be either a volcanic plug or a laccolith. Both are the solidified remains of molten magma venting through the Earth's crust. In the case of the former, it is all that remains of an active volcano, whereas in the case of the latter, the magma never reached the surface. Expert opinion is divided as to which it is, but in either case, it is when such magma cools very slowly that it forms the long hexagonal crystal-like features that form the tower and become exposed as the surrounding softer sedimentary rocks are eroded away. Such features are not uncommon and can be seen in many parts of the world. The Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, for example, on which my wife was sitting in 1958, and the Devil's Post Pile National Monument in California. The loop of road that you can see just ahead of us is the visitor centre where we walked round earlier. It was early in the 1900s that President Roosevelt and others realised that the tower needed urgent protection. Maybe too many people were using that primitive wooden ladder. As making it a national park required congressional consent, taking too long, this new type of park was initiated in 1906. And as this was the first of its kind, maybe it was the obelisk-like nature of the tower that led to the name. Just a thought. Below us, we can see that the queue to get into the monument seems to have got less. Hi, before signing off on this video, I thought I'd like to tell you about the next one that I'm hoping to produce, because it should be a little different in that the airfield that I'll be showing you no longer exists. But it's one that is well remembered by any flight simmers of the 1990s and early 2000s. They should now know where it is. Hope you enjoy it. But if you subscribe to YouTube, my channel in YouTube, you'll get informed whenever that or any other new video is generated. Thank you. Bye-bye.